Every crisis has new heroes. During the 9/11 attacks, they were the first responders running into burning and crumbling buildings as others ran out. Now, during the coronavirus pandemic, the most visible heroes are the healthcare professionals who are saving others and risking their own lives while doing so. These heroes have much in common with the people that we honor today, America's fallen veterans. They are men and women who have sacrificed their own lives so others could live. They are both elite and ordinary. They are elite in the sense of character. Giving your life so others could live is the ultimate definition of selfless. They are ordinary in the fact that they represent the diverse fabric of our country. They are rich, poor, black and white, brown, male and female. They come from every ethnicity and background. In short, they look like any one of us. As we celebrate the selfless and untiring performances of the healthcare workers during the COVID-19 pandemic, it brings to mind the military medics, doctors, and nurses who sacrificed their lives while treating others on the battlefield. One such hero was pharmacist mate third class Jack Williams. The Navy Reserve Corpsman was only 20 years old when he landed on Iwo Jima 75 years ago. On March 3, 1945, James Naughton, a Marine in Williams' unit, was wounded by a grenade. While under intense enemy fire, Williams dragged Naughton to a shallow depression and treated his wounds. Williams used his own body as a screen and was shot 4 times, yet he continued. After he treated Naughton, Williams dressed his own wounds. He then proceeded to treat another Marine. Despite his immense pain, while heading to the rear, he was hit by a sniper's bullet and killed. For his actions, Petty Officer Williams was awarded the Medal of Honor.
Memorial Day to me means remembering some of the people that I served with that didn't make their way back. It means remembering fallen comrades and people I used to hang out with and serve with who did not get to come back home. And it is a day for me to remember that.
We have established a program called the Lewis and Clark Veterans Memorial Foundation in Helena, Montana. And we chose to conduct a Memorial Day program and a Veterans Day program at Memorial every year. This year, because of COVID-19, we are not being able to do that, but what we wanted to do is we wanted to let everybody know that we are extremely interested in having the community knowledgeable about Memorial Day. Memorial Day, if you think about Montana, we've probably had over 230,000 members that have served in the military since territorial days, and we recognize them all for their service. Of course, Memorial Day is a little bit different from what we call Armed Forces Day, which was to recognize the current force, and Veterans Day, which is to recognize veterans. But this Memorial Day is to recognize those who gave their lives for United States of America in defense of their country.
Well, I think it's just, you look at our history, not all of our wars, not only were they not all successful, a lot of them we shouldn't have even been in to start with. But when our politicians, when our government, the people that we elect, decide to go to war, we need people to fight these wars. Now, World War II, if you haven't studied it yet, it was just an enormous undertaking, and what most people would consider to be a very successful war. If our allies, if the U.S. and our allies hadn't won the war, Nazi Germany would be in control of a good part of the world. It's so necessary to have, have people willing to fight in these wars. And, then of course the Korean War, that was kind of another one that maybe shouldn't have happened, but, you could debate that, but nevertheless, it was another big undertaking. And then of course the Vietnam War, where only 8% of the people that were eligible to serve in the war, that were young people, young men, only 8% actually served in the war. So it's important for you all to understand that, that we need people to fight these wars, and we should honor them.
Well, personally, Memorial Day is that one day. Personally, I think we should think about it all year long, of all of the freedoms and choices and liberties that we enjoy in this country. But it all came at a price. From the inception of this country back in 1776, people were willing to stand up and to defend what they believed was right, and it has continued for the 250 plus years that we've been in existence. But it's come at a cost, and a lot of men and women have made the ultimate sacrifice, and a lot of military today. It's just something that exists, and we need to take the time, and our first responders, our police and sheriff and EMT and fire department, they're all putting themselves on the line every day so that we can enjoy the freedoms that we have. So Memorial Day is that one day that we pause, take time to remember them and their sacrifices, both those that did make the ultimate sacrifice and those that did not. There's a saying on the cenotaph at Memorial Park that says, "Honor also those who daring to die survived." And so Memorial Day is that day that I would hope people would take the time to just slow down, understand that we do live in a country that is free and that it came at a cost.
I think what we've seen with COVID-19 is that resurgence of those people who stepped up to the plate and have done that extra mile. We don't watch we don't see the military aspects of it as much right now because we're not involved as we were overseas. But you can see all the efforts of the nurses, the doctors, and military people who have stepped forward to help alleviate the pain and suffering of COVID-19.
Memorial Day is for all the people that sacrificed and gave their lives for our children and all the people in the United States and the world that can continue with their freedom. There's no other country like ours, and they all sacrifice so we can enjoy our freedom.
Two of my friends that I served with, Corporal Lee and Corporal Wyatt, went with me to Iraq. And Corporal Wyatt had just gotten married. He had a baby on the way, and Corporal Lee was working to get his American citizenship from Vietnam. And he was a great drum player, and Corporal Wyatt could hang out with anybody. And on the plane ride over, we were joking and laughing and talking, and by the time we touched down, we were tighter than ever. After I got wounded, Corporal Lee and Corporal Wyatt took over my post, and they shot a terrorist that was driving a truck full of explosives. And they approached the truck, and the passenger in the truck that was lying below the dash set the bomb off. The thing that Corporal Lee and Corporal Wyatt did was very brave. They saved the entire FOB. They saved over 100 Marines and over 40 Army personnel by stopping that truck. They took out both of them, but what they did was an act of heroism. They saved that base. Not to remember them would just mean that meant nothing. And it can't mean nothing, not to me.
You know, when my father passed when I was young, I knew he had served in a unit. I knew it was called the 1st Special Service Force, but I didn't know anything about it. I moved to Helena in 1984, and one of the first men that came and sought me out was in one of Dad's sections. The force was made up of small sections. They call them sections. They call them teams now, of 10 to 12 men. Bob Brock searched me out and introduced himself to me and got me associated, or at least introduced to a lot of the force veterans in Helena. But I didn't know anything about my dad's experience in the war, or I just knew that he had been there and he had been wounded. But as I looked back, I understood more after talking with these men of the struggles that he had, the fact that he even survived, but the struggles that he experienced when he got home. Today we see a lot of soldiers struggling, and even the World War II soldiers. The PTSD that exists, it doesn't go away. The experiences that they had doesn't go away. But they, again, I come back to the fact that they volunteered. They offered themselves up, most of these men not anticipating that they would survive and make it home. But they were so, and that's the part that intrigues me about them, is their clarity of right and wrong. If it's right, you preserve it. If it's wrong, you correct it. That commitment that they made, and getting to know so many of these men, it's a story that we can't forget. But it's just not that unit. There's another unit in Helena called the 163rd Infantry Regiment, and they went into the Pacific, and they were engaged in some very heavy battles in the island hopping. Same mindset, same concept. If we do allow ourselves to not remember, to forget what they experienced, what they put themselves on the line for, I think the reality of humanity is that somebody else is going to have to do it again. And more than likely, it'll be our kids or our grandkids or our great-grandkids. So hopefully we can learn from history and learn from these men and learn what they endured and what they survived and what they experienced and what they struggled with when they got home, so that our kids and grandkids don't have to do that, because their commitment was to make a better life for their families and their kids. And I think we owe that to our kids and grandkids to do the same by remembering what they did and what they were involved with.
I go out to the different cemeteries and I do look at the headstones. And I try to pick out the ones that were in the Marine Corps, see who I knew. And I'll get out there and I'll just stand, or in most cases nowadays, I'll just sit, commiserate with the guy upstairs, and remember the guys that I missed. Tony Cumming, World War II, Iwo Jima, just died recently within the past month. Guy by the name of Don, I'm not going to give his last name, he just passed away. But we could go down the line. Remember those people. Get out there and just show your concern about having knowledge of America and what it cost us. Not in money, but in lives. That's the important thing.